So this video is about the compound interest formula. So this is the formula right here. A equals P times 1 plus R divided by N raised to the NT. So first we need to define what all of these letters mean. So A is your ending amount. P is your principal. Basically, that's your start amount. R is your rate. And remember, they give it to you as a percentage, but you need to change that to a decimal every time. And then we have N, which is new to us. That's the compound part. So in all of these problems, they're going to say compounded by a certain amount, and that's what N is. So that's your compounded number. And we'll talk about what that means in a minute. And then T, just like before, is your time. So for all of these, you're going to have a problem that says it's compounded annually or semi-annually or quarterly, and you need to know what all of those mean. So we're going to make a little list. So your compounded number is your N equals number. So if it says annually, your N is going to be 1 because annually happens just one time in a year. If you have a semi-annual sale, semi-annual sales happen twice a year. So N is going to equal 2. You could also have quarterly, which is 4. There's 4 quarters in a year. You could also have daily, which in a regular year, there's 365 days. You could also have weekly and monthly. So monthly, obviously, your N is going to equal 12. Weekly, you have to know how many weeks there are in a year. There are 52 weeks in 1 year. So if you need anything I've written so far, make sure you pause the video so you can write it all down before we move on. Okay, let's go to example number 1. So we're going to label all of the letters first, and then we'll plug it in. So we have A, P, R, N, and T. So the example says you borrow $59,000 for 2 years at 11%, which is compounded annually. What total will you have to pay back? So we have the $59,000. That's what you're starting with. So that's your P. We then say for 2 years. So the 2 years, that's time. It says at 11%, so 11 is our rate. But remember, every time you have a percent, you have to change it to a decimal. So that's 0.11. You can take the 11 and divide by 100, and it'll give you 0.11. And then it says compounded annually, which means we're going to have an N right here, and annually is going to be 1. And what total will you have to pay back? That's what we're looking for, A. So A is going to equal, if I can zoom out a little bit. Nope, too far up. That's okay. So we're using this formula. So we're going to do P first. So A is going to equal 59,000. It's always 1 plus. So previously you could have plus or minus, but with compounded annually, it's always going to be plus. Plus, then you have your fraction bar. Your rate goes on top, so 0.11, and your n goes on the bottom, which in this case was a 1. And now your exponent is an nt, which is going to be a 1 times 2. So then stick that in your calculator. So when you put that in your calculator, you get this in your calculator. So you get 72,693.9, but remember with money, it has to be 2 decimal places, so a 0.9 is really a 0.90. So our final answer is $72,693.90. Okay, the next example. Your loan for $28,600 at 7.9% is compounded semi-annually. How much do you owe after 2 years? So we still need all the letters, A, P, R, N, and T. So go ahead and take a minute and see if you can fill in these letters. So pause this video and fill in the letters that correspond with this word problem. Okay, so you should have already filled in these numbers. So the 28,600 is your P. Your rate is 7.9%, but as a decimal, that's 0.079. And if you forget, your calculator does it. So 7.9, second button, and then you press the parenthesis above the 8 to get the percent sign. Press enter. If you forget, your calculator will do it. Then it says it's compounded semi-annually. Semi-annually happens twice in a year. So that's your N. And then how much will you owe after 2 years? That just happens to also be a 2 for time. And again, we're looking for A, because how much will you owe? So remember, the equation we are using is this. So go ahead and take a minute and plug in everything we have into the letters. And once you've done that, go ahead and unpause the video. So pause it and then unpause it once you have your equation. So this should be the equation you wrote down in your paper. If it is, let's go ahead and type it into your calculator and see what our final answer is. Careful when you're doing these because you need to use the fraction button, and you'll end up using the caret key button. So when I plug that in, I get this answer. Remember, it's money, so we're rounding. So that's $33,393, and it's a 658. So the 8 is going to make the 5 go to a 6. So it should be 0.66. Okay, we're going to move on to example 3, but example 3 I want you to do on your own. So let's set it up, and then once you are completely done with it, meaning you've labeled this, you have created your equation, and you've plugged into your calculator. Once you've done all of that, unpause the video so you can check your answer with mine. So this is the work you should have had for example 3. Your final answer is $35,854.85. When you're working these, if it wants the end amount, you're done. If it wants to find the compound interest, which on your homework tonight, it asks you to find the compound interest, you're going to do one more step. So I'm going to change colors. So if it wants the compound interest, you are going to take your amount of money you had and you're subtracting whatever you put into it. So you're subtracting your principal. And that gives you the compound interest. So for this, the compound interest is $14,854.85. That basically means I took the loan out for $21,000, and this is what I had to pay back. So in addition to the $21,000 I took out that I needed, I had to pay over $14,000 in interest for that loan. So ending balance, you're good. Compound interest, you have one more step for your homework.